Hello, my name is Lindsay. I am a financial aid advisor. I am going to give you all that you need to know to get started on financial aid and scholarship options here at USFSP. Really excited to give this information to you. Financial aid is a lot of information, and it all depends on where you're at individually. So I definitely encourage you guys to call our office, visit our office as soon as you can to get a more in-depth look at your financial aid. But right now we're going to go over just an overview to kind of get you started thinking about financial aid options. So in this presentation, I'm going to go over applying for financial aid, online services that we offer, requirements, what a deferment is, satisfactory of academic progress, and some helpful tips along the way. So with applying for financial aid, your first step is going to be applying on www.fafsa.gov, and there's two FAFSA applications out there. There's the 1920 FAFSA application, which is good for the fall of 2019, spring or summer of 2020, and is using 2017 tax information. But there's also the 2021 FAFSA application, which is for the fall of 2020, spring or summer of 2021, and that's using 2018 tax information. The FAFSA opens in October each year, so make sure that you fill out your FAFSA as soon as possible. I'm going to mention what our priority deadline is, so it's really important to make sure that you fill out the FAFSA by that date. And then also keep in mind, because it's using 2017 and 2018 tax information, it might not reflect your current financial situation. And so we do have processes in place where we can actually change that information to reflect your current situation. So you want to make sure that you touch base with us in the financial aid office, book an appointment with a financial aid advisor via ServiceNow so that we can go ahead and discuss that. If you have any questions about filling out the FAFSA, feel free to contact our office at any time. We can actually help you fill it out by booking an appointment as well. So one reason why you want to make sure that you fill out the FAFSA as soon as possible is because USF system has a priority deadline. That priority deadline is January 1st. Students that have their FAFSA processed by this date are considered for additional federal, state, and institutional grants as well as WorkStudy. So to me, that translates for students different opportunities that they might have other than loans. So it's really important to get that FAFSA in as soon as possible, and that can potentially decrease your loan debt. So now we're going to go over types of aid offered. So I wanted to start with free money opportunities. So that's going to be grants or scholarships. Grants are based on financial need that you do not need to pay back. Pell Grant is a type of grant that you can get from filling out the FAFSA. Pell Grant is an entitlement. Other grants are based on meeting the priority deadline. And so that's going to be your USF grant, FSAG grant, and that's why we're encouraging students to go ahead and apply for that FAFSA before January 1st so that you might have that opportunity to get those other grants. The next thing is going to be scholarships. So there's both need and non-need gift aid. That's going to be Bright Futures, admission scholarships, our USFSP privately funded scholarships opened on November 4th. There's different deadlines for each different student type. I definitely encourage you to visit our website. I'm going to go over our website briefly in this presentation, but either go to our website or call us about these USFSP privately funded scholarships. It's a great opportunity for you. And then, of course, there's outside scholarships that a student may have. So if you're receiving Bright Futures, you want to make sure that you tell USF you're receiving the scholarship. So how you do that is you go on Florida Student Scholarship and Grant Program's website, and you're going to make sure that you update the demographic to USF. We accept two types of Bright Futures here: academic scholars, which pays 100% of tuition plus a $300 book award, and there's eligibility over the summer. And then medallion scholars, which pays $156.51 a credit hour. There is also eligibility over the summer. Keep in mind, if you drop a class, come see financial aid, regardless if you're receiving Bright Futures or not, but especially with Bright Futures, because you will owe money back, and it might put you at risk for not renewing in the future. So types of aid offered. So there's money that you have to pay back. That's going to be your federal subsidized loans, which do not accrue interest while you're in school, and federal unsubsidized loans, which accrues interest while you're in school. You have to have a completed entrance counseling and master promissory note for these loans to be able to pay out. You can complete those on studentloans.gov. If you have any additional questions, such as the origination fees of these loans or interest rates of these loans, you can always touch base with our office in person, on the phone, or you can use our service now, which is kind of like an emailing service that we have. You can find that on our website under Contact Us, and we would be happy to guide you through the loan process and all that good stuff. So definitely ask before you borrow is the best thing that you can do, especially wait for the charges to hit your account before you borrow loans. And again, keep in constant contact with us because we're happy to help. On other types of aid offered, money that your parents have to pay back, that would be the Parent Plus loan. This is for dependent students only as determined by the FAFSA. The loan is going to be in the parent's name. The application can be completed on studentloans.gov, and it is contingent on credit. If the parent is denied, however, students can receive an additional unsubsidized loan. So it's really important to touch base with us, see if this is a good option for you. Again, the constant contact is super important as you're making your financial aid decisions. Then lastly, money you must earn. So that's going to be federal WorkStudy. So in order to get federal WorkStudy, you have to indicate yes that you want it on the FAFSA, but you also have to have financial need that is determined by the FAFSA and meet the priority deadline. The award is up to $6,000 a year, and students may not earn the full amount. It depends on the rate that they're hired in and how many hours a student has worked. Students can apply for these jobs via Handshake currently, and then it'll actually direct you to our careers website. You would want to contact the Career Center for that process. There are other types of student employment opportunities if you did not receive federal WorkStudy, and again, going to the Career Center and exploring those opportunities for on-campus jobs is really critical if you want to earn money while you're in school. So online services that we offer. So the big one is going to be our financial aid website. This is really important that you go on there, especially because this is where our scholarships are located, but it also gives helpful reminders of the USF priority deadline, overall process of financial aid, planning your college costs, types of aid, forms. If you get selected for verification, it's really important that you know where you can find some of the forms we might be asking for, and enrollment and withdrawal impact. So a lot of information on our financial aid website, and then of course there's Service Now under the Contact Us, which is the way that you can email a financial aid advisor. So all really good things on our financial aid website. If you have any more questions about it, again, feel free to reach out. And then other online services is Oasis. So Oasis is your 24/7 one-stop shop for your financial aid. It is really, really helpful to go ahead and look at Oasis, especially reviewing unsatisfied requirements, checking for deferments, checking your satisfactory of academic progress, and viewing and accepting your financial aid awards. All those you can do on Oasis. It is also really helpful because if you try to call us, we can't give you a lot of information when it comes to real numbers, when it comes to your academic history, your satisfactory of academic progress. So this is something where if you're talking to us on the phone, you can be logged into Oasis and we can guide you through finding some of those answers. So definitely being aware of Oasis, being educated about it is super important as you go through your college experience here at USF. I'm going to help guide you through it and navigate you through it a little bit. So let's begin. So the two most helpful tabs I find are My Requirements, Bookstore Authorizations and Deferments, and then My Award and Loan Information. When you go through My Requirements, Bookstore Authorizations and Deferments, first it pulls up the requirements. So You can see at the top the student has unsatisfied requirements. Some of those are the financial aid terms and conditions. Some of them are tax return transcripts, parent verification worksheets. Whenever you see tax return transcripts or parent verification worksheets, that means that you have been selected for a process called verification. And then on the bottom, you can see satisfied requirements. So that will be if you have a FAFSA, if you have a tuition deferment, if you have the bookstore advanced purchase program. So all those things you can tell on the student requirements tab on Oasis. So I mentioned briefly a tuition deferment. So you might ask, what is a tuition deferment? So a deferment is something that a student really wants to have, and it's because it gives you more time to actually pay for your classes. So generally that's about 10 weeks into the semester, and a tuition deferment prevents cancellation of registration for non-payment of fees and temporarily prevents assessment of late payment fees. So typically a student would have to pay for their tuition on the first week of classes by Friday at 5 o'clock. And so this gives a student more time to be able to pay off their tuition. If for some reason you do not have a tuition deferment and you fail to pay by Friday at 5 o'clock, you will be automatically dropped from your classes. So how do you receive a tuition deferment? So it automatically posts on Oasis if the student has a scholarship, so that includes Bright Futures, outside scholarships, admission scholarships, USFSP, privately funded scholarships, any scholarships listed on their Oasis account. If you have that, then you'll automatically receive a tuition deferment. Or, and this is the most common way for students, you have a FAFSA on file. Normally, we ask it to be 10 business days before classes begin, but if your FAFSA comes in a little bit later, we can actually manually post a deferment as long as you are also meeting the other requirements to get this deferment, which is being enrolled at least 6 undergraduate USF credit hours and you're meeting Satisfactory of academic progress requirements, which I'll go over the SAP requirements a little bit later in the presentation. But these 3 components together, if you have all these 3 things, then we can post a tuition deferment for the student. And again, it should post automatically as long as it's ahead of time. But if it's the first week of classes, your FAFSA shows up on this, which this won't happen to anyone because we're going to fill out the FAFSA as soon as possible, but in case it does, we can manually post one for the student. You want to check Oasis before classes begin each semester to make sure that you are receiving a tuition deferment. So other things, like I said, that were on the requirements page is going to be verification. So what is verification? Verification is the federal government requiring us to verify or confirm that the data reported by students and their parents on the FAFSA is correct. Only about 30% of the student population is selected, and until this process is finished, you will not receive a financial aid award. So we get a lot of questions, why haven't I received my financial aid award? And some of this could be that you have unsatisfied requirements that you need to do in order for us to actually generate an award package for you. So just kind of keep that in mind. Verification, it can be a headache. Just keep on making sure that you're in constant contact with us through this process. I know what it's like firsthand. I did get selected all 4 years through college, so I understand it can be a hassle, but again, keep on talking with us, keep on working with us, and we'll get you through it. The next piece is going to be the terms and conditions. So these are requirements you must meet in order to remain eligible for financial aid. Before a grant, loan, or work-study funds can be paid, you are required to read and accept the terms and conditions in Oasis every year. Certain scholarship awards have separate terms and conditions, and you want to make sure that you do those as well so that they'll pay out. And another requirement, which is really only unique to transfer students, is called a Tailor. I included it in this presentation so that if transfer students have a question about this requirement, that is addressed. But what this requirement means is that you need to reach out to your prior institution and tell them that you will not be attending their college or university anymore. The reason why this requirement is coming up is because your other institution is claiming that you are going to be receiving federal aid from them, and you can't receive federal aid at two institutions at the same time. So some of the ways that your other institution may ask you to cancel aid with them, sometimes it's via email, sometimes it's filling out a form, but you want to make sure that you do that as soon as possible because that will hold up getting your financial aid. And then book authorization. So this bookstore authorization program allows financial aid students to charge books against their incoming financial aid. The amount of purchases are charged to the student account, and when financial aid pays, it takes care of that charge. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is not additional financial aid money. This is accessing your refund early in order to pay for your books ahead of time. So you have to be enrolled in at least half time in USF hours, and you have to have financial aid that is at least $100 more than your bill. So the maximum for BAP is $600 for fall and spring, $300 for the summer. And please note that at certain times you may have BAP, but you might not actually have it because all the charges have not been put onto your account. So just double check with our office to make sure that you can use BAP before you go to the bookstore. And once you go to the bookstore, all you do is give them your student ID, and then they'll be able to charge it to your student account. So under the My Award and Loan Information tab, there is the General Information tab. And what's really great about this is this gives you an overview of your financial aid. So it gives you whether your satisfactory of academic progress is eligible, ineligible. So that's great to have that update. And again, you want to make sure that you check your SAP status after grades are processed each term. And then in the middle, it kind of gives you the student account balance, how much financial aid is going to pay, how much of your Florida prepaid or waivers are going to pay. And then at the very bottom, it gives you what your student account balance is expected to be after that add drop period. So after the first week of classes, whether you're going to owe money or whether you're going to be receiving a refund, you can find on this page. So satisfactory of academic progress. So what is it? So SAP is a federal regulation where most aid programs cannot be paid if the student is not meeting the SAP requirements. So you must have at least a 2.0 USF GPA by the time of your junior year. And then the next part is going to be the completion ratio. So you must pass 67% of all attempted credit hours, and that's including courses from other schools. And then maximum time frame, you have to earn a bachelor's degree in less than 180 hours attempted over the entire college career, and that's also including courses from other schools. SAP is calculated at the end of every semester after grades post. So again, checking your SAP status is really important. We can't tell you your SAP status or disclose that over the phone. So the way that you can look at your SAP status is either going on Oasis, or you can come in person and talk to us, or you can use our ServiceNow website. So there's 3 other ways that you can ask for SAP other than calling us about it. And again, that's because it has to do with your grades and your enrollment. So this gives you just your award overview. So it has the cost of attendance. This is not your actual cost. This is a budgeting number we use in order to pay you financial aid. So really, you do want the cost of attendance to be a fairly large number so that we can go ahead and award you financial aid up to that amount. So those are not your actual costs. It does get confusing sometimes for students, so keep in mind cost of attendance, not your actual costs. And then at the bottom, this is your financial aid award by term. So it breaks it down fall and spring. And then actually for summer, you normally have to request summer via a summer aid request. That normally comes out in February to March, somewhere around there. So keep an eye out. Emails are really important for you to check because that's where you're going to get the notification of this is when scholarships are open. This is when scholarships are closed. This is when you need to turn in your summer aid request. So important information we always email you about and send you reminders. So under My Award and Loan Information, there is the Resources tab. And it's really important that you do not include forward or prepaid or bright futures in these other resources. When they mean other resources, they mean anything such as any outside scholarships. In some cases, it can be waivers. So you always just want to double check with us what you do and you do not need to indicate on here. But it is important that you do indicate something if you are receiving any outside scholarships or waivers or anything like that. And the reason why is because you can only receive so much financial aid, only up to your cost of attendance. So if you don't report something, but it automatically hits your account, but you're already at your cost of attendance, we can actually ask for that money back. And so we might, again, take loan money first, of course, but it's really important to make sure that just so that you won't owe any money in the future, that you always let us know about any outside scholarships, because we don't want it to have a over award situation where you're awarded too much financial aid past your cost of attendance and then we have to start asking for money back. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're receiving outside scholarships, that you do need to indicate it. Under my award and loan information, this is the terms and conditions. They no longer list all the grants and stuff like that and loans. However, I did keep this slide on here just so that you can see what each fund looks like, what the different terms and conditions are going to look like, and just so that you know for your own knowledge that you have to do this whether you're receiving a grant, a loan, a scholarship. And so again, make sure that you read your financial aid terms and conditions and accept them. And then this is my award and loan information where you'd actually accept your award offer. And keep in mind that when it comes to accepting awards, if it's a grant or if it's a scholarship, we're not going to ask you to accept it. We already auto accept that for you because everybody wants free money, right? So we're not going to ask you to do another step. The only time that we will ask you to accept awards is going to be with WorkStudy or with any types of loans. So just kind of keep in mind, we're always wanting you to accept the better type of loan if you are going to make a loan decision. So if you want loans, you have to accept all your subsidized loans before you touch your unsubsidized loans. So make sure that you accept all your subsidized. So for fall and spring, if you want any type of unsub. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going through it here. Now, of course, if you are a spring admit or a summer admit and you only have spring awards or summer awards and you don't have that fall award to accept, then you don't have to worry about it. Just in your award offer, just make sure that you accept all your subsidized loans before you touch your unsubsidized loans. You can also indicate partial amounts of loans that you want to accept, and that's really helpful because just because you're being offered $2,750 in loans, say, you do not need to accept that full amount. You can always get a partial amount if you only owe, say, $500. You can go ahead and accept $700 because keep in mind there is an origination fee. So we'll help you work out how much you might need to take out in loans to pay off your account balance. But again, the whole goal is so that we can maximize your aid and you only take what you need in your loans. And so just keep in mind, talking to us about those financial aid decisions, we're more than happy to help and help you navigate it. So we're at the end of the presentation, and so I always like to have helpful tips moving forward. So kind of keep in mind that financial aid is a snapshot, and so making sure that you check your financial aid frequently on Oasis to make sure everything is okay is really important because, again, you never know. Things might change, your enrollment might change, and whenever you're making decisions that are academic, it can influence financial aid decisions. And so we want to be able to support you in that and answer any questions that you have. So make sure you check Oasis, but also make sure that you check in with us. Make sure that you complete any requirements on your Oasis account. Be aware of privacy policies where if you need your parents to talk to us about your account, you actually have to request a privacy release form to be put on the account. And the privacy release form is an online form, and you can request it in person, doing it via ServiceNow or on the phone. Now, your parents can't request it. The request should come from you, the student, because you're going to be the one filling out the form to give them access. If you need to contact our office, please use ServiceNow portal, which is on our website. Like I said, if you have a question for a financial aid advisor or you need to contact us for any reason and you can't use the phone or you can't come in person, this is the way that you can kind of like email us. So feel free to use it. I personally like the ServiceNow portal just because it gives us time to address your questions fully, and it also gives you the ability to also book appointments with us and other great things. So definitely utilize it. And then if you're considering dropping a class, make sure you check in with us first. It can affect your satisfactory academic progress, and you may owe money at some time. So just go ahead, check in with us, and if you haven't already, fill out your FAFSA as soon as possible. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, my name is Lindsay, but any of our financial aid staff is happy to help you. All right, thank you.